Born in Virginia, James Madison was a tiny, sickly baby. No one expected him to do big things. He stayed very small and was scared of almost everything, even loud noises and thunderstorms. While other boys played rough games, little James stayed inside and read giant stacks of books. He went to college in New Jersey. He wanted to learn absolutely everything in the whole world. He studied so much he only slept 4 hours a night. This was a very bad idea. He worked himself so hard that he got terribly sick. He went back to his farm to rest. While he was resting, something huge happened. America decided to fight the giant British Empire for freedom. James wanted to fight the British. He joined the army and tried to march with the soldiers, but he was too weak. He collapsed and realized his body was simply not made for war. He couldn't fight with a sword. So James decided he would fight with his super smart brain instead. He joined the Virginia government. He was so quiet that people had to lean in to hear him. He became best friends with Thomas Jefferson. They looked very funny together, like a giant and a mouse, but together they were a perfect team. They loved sharing books and amazing ideas about freedom. America won the war against Britain. Everyone cheered. But soon a huge new problem started. The 13 new states didn't want to work together. They started fighting and acting like selfish children. America's first set of rules was too weak. The new country was falling apart very fast. James was terrified. He realized America needed a strong new government or it would be ruined forever. He locked himself in a library. He read every book about rules and governments in human history. He created a master plan, a brilliant, perfect set of rules for a brand new United States. He rushed to Philadelphia for a giant meeting called the Constitutional Convention. He was the first one to arrive. He was only 5 feet 4 inches tall. Then the giant superhero George Washington arrived. James knew he needed Washington on his side. James explained his master plan to Washington. Washington loved it. With his support, everyone listened. The meeting lasted all summer. The men yelled, argued, and got very sweaty and mad. But tiny James Madison was the peacemaker. He used his clever brain to fix every single argument. He also wrote down every word anyone said. Thanks to him, we know exactly what happened. Finally, they agreed. They signed the Constitution. It was the ultimate rule book for America. Because it was mostly his brilliant idea, James became known as the father of the Constitution. But there was a problem. Half the country hated the new rules. They were scared of strong government. James needed to sell his idea. He teamed up with a very energetic man named Alexander Hamilton. Together, they wrote a bunch of famous essays to convince the people. They called them the Federalist Papers. The essays were so smart and convincing that people started changing their minds. To make everyone feel totally safe, James promised to add special rules just to protect ordinary people. This protective shield of rules became the Bill of Rights. Now America fully accepted the Constitution, but soon politics got nasty. James and Hamilton started fighting over how to run the country. Hamilton wanted a country run by rich bankers. James thought that was a terrible idea. James teamed back up with his tall best friend Thomas Jefferson.
We must act.
They created their own political team. James was a hero, but he was very lonely. He was in his 40s and completely single. Then he met Dolley. She was a widow who was tall, loud, funny, and incredibly popular. James took one look at her vibrant dresses and huge smile, and he fell deeply in love. They were opposites. He was tiny and quiet. She was tall and loud, but they were perfect. They got married. Dolley brought fun and joy into James's very serious, book-filled life. When Thomas Jefferson became president, he made his best friend James the Secretary of State. James did a massive deal with France. He helped buy a giant piece of land for America. This was the Louisiana Purchase. Thanks to James and Jefferson, America doubled in size overnight. But trouble was brewing. The British were bullying American ships on the ocean and stealing sailors. The country needed a leader. The people elected tiny James Madison to be the next president. Being president was miserable. The British kept bullying America and people were screaming for a fight. James hated war, but finally he had no choice. He asked Congress to declare war on Britain. This became known as the War of 1812. It was America's second big fight against the British. The war started terribly. America's army was tiny and messy. The British army was huge and powerful. James even rode out to the battlefield himself. He is the only president to ever do this while in office. A cannonball almost hit him. He realized his army was losing and he had to run away. Disaster struck. The bad guys marched right into the capital city, Washington, D.C. Back at the president's house, Dolley Madison was throwing a party when she heard the British were coming. Instead of panicking, brave Dolley ordered her servants to save a giant famous painting of George Washington. They smashed the frame, rolled up the painting, and escaped just in the nick of time. The British arrived, ate the dinner Dolley had cooked, and then did something terrible. They set the president's house on fire. The whole city burned brightly in the night. From a distance, James and Dolley watched their home burn. It was the saddest day of James's life. But then a miracle happened. A freak massive thunderstorm rolled in out of nowhere. A huge tornado and pouring rain put out the fires and chased the scared British soldiers away. James refused to give up. He rebuilt the army and inspired the country to keep fighting hard. The Americans started fighting back. They won amazing battles on the lakes and the oceans. In New Orleans, a tough general named Andrew Jackson smashed the British army to pieces. Finally, the British gave up. They signed a peace treaty. The crazy War of 1812 was over. America didn't gain any land, but they proved to the world they could survive anything. James returned a hero. The people cheered for him. The country felt more united than ever before. After 8 long, stressful years, James retired. He was so happy to finally stop being president.
I am finally free.
He went back to his farm in Virginia with his beloved Dolley to live a quiet life. He went right back to doing what he loved most, reading massive stacks of books all day long. Though he was quiet in public, at home James was actually very funny and loved telling jokes. He spent his old age writing letters and visiting his best friend Thomas Jefferson. Together, they even helped build a brand new school, the University of Virginia. James grew very, very old. He was the last living man who signed the great Constitution. When he finally passed away, America mourned. But his amazing rules lived on forever. Dolley made sure all of his secret notes from the Constitutional Convention were safely published for everyone. Because of James, we have a system that protects our freedoms to this very day. His Bill of Rights ensures that everyone has a voice and can live freely and safely. He proved that you don't need to be big, strong, or loud to change the whole world. The tiny, sickly boy who was afraid of thunderstorms grew up to be a giant of history. He used his brain instead of his muscles to build the strongest country on earth. Every time a law is passed or a freedom is protected, it is thanks to him. James Madison, the brilliant little father of the Constitution, left a giant legacy of freedom. His brilliant mind built the American dream. And that is the amazing story of James Madison.